All right, today we are diving into a question that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction. Can we actually grow a fully functioning human heart from just a single cell? It's an absolutely incredible journey we're about to take, from the tiniest building block of life to one of our most complex organs. So let's jump right in. So, there it is. That's the big one, the central question for this entire explainer. Can we really do it? Can we take one single foundational cell and guide it, nurture it, and grow it into a beating, living human heart? It's a massive question, and to even begin to answer it, we have to start small. I mean, really, really small. You see, before we can even think about building something as complex as a heart, we have to understand the blueprints. And that means we need to start with the most fundamental component of all life, the absolute engine of all growth. And that engine, my friends, is the cell. Everything about you, your brain, your skin, your bones, all of it, started from this. Just think of it like the ultimate Lego brick. It's the one single piece that you can use to build literally anything and everything else. So how do we get from just one cell to the trillions that make you, well, you? It all happens through what's called the cell cycle, and it's basically a perfectly timed biological assembly line. First, the cell bulks up, gathering nutrients. Then, it makes a perfect copy of its DNA blueprints. After that, it does a final quality control check before the big moment. It splits in two. One becomes two become four, and on it goes. This process, mitosis, is literally the engine of growth. But here's the thing. Growth isn't just about making new cells. It's also about getting rid of the old ones in a controlled way. Our bodies have two ways to handle this. You've got apoptosis, which is like a clean, scheduled demolition. It's programmed, neat, and keeps everything in order. And then you have necrosis. That's the complete opposite. It's messy, chaotic cell death caused by an injury. It's this beautiful, constant dance between creation and removal that keeps our bodies healthy. Okay, so we've got cells that can multiply and then clean up after themselves. That's great. But a big pile of cells isn't an organ, right? The real magic happens in the next step, organization. This is where those individual little Lego bricks start teaming up to build something way bigger and more complex. They team up to form tissues. And get this, everything in your body, and I mean everything, is made from just these four basic types. You've got epithelial tissue, which is all about lining and protection, like your skin. There's connective tissue for support, like your bones. Of course, there's muscle for movement, and finally, nervous tissue for communication. Every single organ you have is just a unique combination of these four. Now, let's take your bones, for example. You probably think of them as these static, hard, almost rock-like structures, right? Just scaffolding. Well, you couldn't be more wrong. Your skeleton is actually a bustling, dynamic city that's constantly being rebuilt. Inside your bones, there's this incredible remodeling crew working 24/7. You've got the osteoblasts, they're the construction workers, laying down new bone. Then there are the osteoclasts, the demolition crew, clearing out the old, worn-out bits. And overseeing the whole operation are the osteocytes, the project managers, making sure everything runs smoothly. This constant rebuilding is key, and as we're about to see, it's a process that works very differently in the heart. All right, we've got the fundamentals down: cells, tissues, remodeling. Now let's put it all together and focus on the main event, the heart. Because this thing is a whole other level of complex. It's truly a masterclass on how biology works. See, a heart isn't just one thing. It's a recipe. Of course, the main ingredient, about 70%, is that special cardiac muscle that does all the pumping. But you also need a big helping of connective tissue to give it structure, a sophisticated network of nervous tissue to control its rhythm, and a delicate layer of epithelial tissue to line everything. If you want to build a heart, you have to build all four of these perfectly. And this right here is the absolute game changer. Remember that busy city inside our bones, constantly remodeling? Yeah, the heart just doesn't have that. When heart muscle gets damaged, say from a heart attack, the body's go-to move isn't to make new muscle. It just patches the hole with scar tissue, which, by the way, doesn't contract. It's a patch, not a fix. And if you need a number to really understand this, check this out. About half of 1%. That's it. That's the turnover rate for your heart muscle cells every year. They barely replace themselves. This is the fundamental reason why heart damage is so permanent and why growing a new one is such an unbelievable challenge.
So, we've seen the building blocks, we understand the incredibly complex design, and we've hit the major biological roadblocks. With all of that in our back pocket, let's go back to where we started. How close are we, really, to building a brand new heart? Okay, so what's the state of play right now? Well, it's kind of a tale of two cities. In the reality column, scientists are doing incredible things, like growing what they call organoids, basically mini hearts in a petri dish that can actually beat. But in the potential column, we're still pretty far from a full-scale, transplant-ready organ. That's where fields like 3D bioprinting come in, trying to literally print organs layer by layer using cells as ink. So what's stopping us from printing a heart tomorrow? Well, it really boils down to three massive, and I mean massive challenges. First, scale. You need billions of cells, not thousands. Second, structure. All those cells and tissues have to be arranged in a perfect 3D architecture. And third, maybe the biggest hurdle of all, plumbing. You need a complete built-in network of blood vessels to feed the organ. Without that, it can't survive.
So the short answer to our big question? No, not today. We can't grow a complete human heart from a single cell. Yet. But the progress is just staggering, and it leaves us with this final, really mind-bending thought to chew on. We're so focused on the how we can do this, but what about the what if? If, or maybe when, we actually master this technology, what comes next? What does that really mean for the future of medicine, and maybe even for the future of being human? That's something to think about.